Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to absolutely dismantle pretty much everything you thought you knew about our ancestors from 40,000 years ago. For generations, we've been told that prehistoric life was just a nasty, brutish, and short nightmare, right? Just this constant, terrifying scramble not to starve. But the actual archaeological evidence? Well, it tells a mind-bendingly different story.
So let's dive right into this really provocative question. Did a so-called caveman actually have a better work-life balance than a modern CEO? I mean, it sounds totally absurd at first, but the data reveals they were essentially living the 4-hour work week long before it became a trendy business concept. We're going to uncover the surprisingly chill reality of life in the Paleolithic era.
Section 1. Waking up without alarms. Let's kick things off by imagining what mornings actually felt like back then. Picture this. You're opening your eyes to the soft light of dawn in a rock shelter. You're sleeping on a bed of dried grasses and animal skins, pressed close to your band for warmth. And there is absolutely no schedule to check. No buzzing phone on your nightstand, no concept whatsoever of being late or rushing. You see, instead of stressing about getting one perfect, uninterrupted block of rest, humans likely practice polyphasic sleep. Basically, that means sleeping for a few hours, then casually waking up in the middle of the night to tend the fires, talk quietly with family, or, simply gaze out at the stars before drifting off again.
Section 2. The 4-hour workweek. So let's see how this ties into their daily job, or what anthropologists call subsistence. When it came to securing food, the actual data completely shatters the myth of the constant mammoth hunter. Pop culture loves to picture our ancestors locked in this permanent high-stakes battle with giant megafauna. But the truth? Hunting was totally the exception, not the rule. On an average day, the vast majority of their calories, we're talking between 60 and 80%, came from plants, roots, and nuts that were securely gathered by the group.
And when anthropologists look at modern hunter-gatherers, which is really our best window into this distant past, we see an astonishing comparison. Securing those daily calories only took about 4 to 6 hours a day. That is it. Once that 4 to 6 hours of gathering was done, the entire rest of their day was left for pure, unadulterated leisure. When you compare that to our modern corporate grind of 40-plus hours a week, well, you really start to wonder who actually had it figured out.
Section 3. Stone Age High Tech.
But hey, do not mistake all that abundant leisure time for boredom or lack of innovation. Our ancestors were master engineers, artists, and chemists. They weren't just out there randomly hitting rocks together to see what happened. They used highly sophisticated, prepared core techniques, which is essentially calculating precise geometric angles to flake flint into specialized tools. They literally invented prehistoric superglue by mixing pine resin and charcoal to perfectly attach spear points to wooden shafts. Oh, and they practiced incredibly complex chemistry through brain tanning, using natural animal oils to turn raw hides into super soft, durable leather clothing. They were highly skilled makers, using the absolute cutting-edge tech of their time.
Section 4. The original social network.
So once that 4-hour shift was done and the high-tech tools were all crafted, the evening social scene in the camp got incredibly intense. Because they existed entirely without smartphones or the internet, they relied on a super complex face-to-face network of gossip. And gossip wasn't just idle chatter back then. It was their primary information-sharing system. It essentially functioned like a prehistoric social credit score, determining exactly who was trustworthy, who was pulling their weight, and who was just being selfish within these really tight-knit, interdependent bands. The camp really functioned like a vibrant vertical city. By the early evening, around 6 p.m., everyone gathered together. You had kids playing with intricately carved bone toys, adults deep into storytelling, and deep inside the caves, people painting breathtaking three-dimensional masterpieces in what archaeologists believe were basically spiritual schools. Then, as the night progressed toward 2 a.m., the evening flowed so fluidly into music, dancing, and those late-night polyphasic fireside talks we mentioned earlier. They weren't just barely surviving the night huddled in fear. No, they were literally creating music. Archaeologists have actually uncovered 40,000-year-old flutes, delicately carved from hollow bird bones and dense mammoth ivory. And these weren't just crude noisemakers either. They were fully capable of producing recognizable musical scales. Imagine that. Our ancestors sitting around a communal fire, playing melodies and dancing together. Section 5. The modern trade-off. This brings us to the final and perhaps most challenging part of this explainer, a massive reevaluation of what we actually consider human progress. We're so used to viewing civilization and history as this endless, linear upward climb toward comfort and ease. But when we look at the data, we realize we've sacrificed something massive along the way. We might have lost a profound sense of spacious time, of unhurried existence, and of a deep communal rhythm. The ultimate paradox is this. A prehistoric human probably enjoyed more unstructured leisure hours in a single week than most modern workers get in an entire month.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with the final provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about their stress-free mornings, their deep social bonds, and their immense free time, would you trade your high-speed internet, your modern groceries, and your climate control for a 4-hour work week if it meant sleeping on a floor made of grass? It is the ultimate weigh-in between our modern luxuries and the incredible leisure of our distant past. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and hey, keep questioning the history you think you know.